fun. Married a film critic. So I married a film critic. So I married a...
Welcome to So I Married a Film Critic, a discussion between a professional film critic and lecturer and me, his wife, who just likes to watch movies for fun. I'm your co-host, Julia.
And this is Barry, the film critic. Hello, everyone.
And I thought I'd just give a little bit of an introduction because even though I think the majority of our listeners know us personally, if you don't know us personally, welcome. We hope you'll stick around for a little bit.
What a nice intro, Julia. I feel like our listeners, they always agree with you more. In fact, we have factual proof that that's the case. And also, it is called So I Married a Film Critic. So that's the title refers to you. This is about you. So I appreciate the intro, but really, I mean, they're here for your golden pipes. They're not here for me. Anybody who knows me, reads my reviews, they definitely are here for you.
That's hilarious. No, they're here for your awesome movie facts and trivia.
That they could easily look up on imdb.com.
No, that's not true. He's being...
Or going to Google.
No.
Or asking Jeeves. If you're living in 1998, the year our film came out.
Yes. Tonight we're going to talk about City of Angels with Meg Ryan and Nicolas Cage.
Oh, so you give her top billing over Nicolas Cage. I see what you did there.
Oh, you see what I did there? It was not on purpose, but...
It's 98. I get top billing!
Ooh, we get the Nicolas Cage impressions, which is hilarious because this is the most, understated performance I've ever seen.
I haven't seen this movie since it came out. Watching it with you the other night was the second time I've ever seen it. And for one thing, not to bury the lead too much, but I was surprised by how much I liked it. And I was really surprised by how good he is in this movie, because this was that phase of his career where he had won the Academy Award for Leaving Las Vegas, and he did the shrewdest thing he could have done. He didn't continue to make heavy, challenging, wrenching art movies. He became a very mainstream movie star because he followed Leaving Las Vegas with Face Off and Con Air. And in between those movies and Snake Eyes is my favorite over-the-top Nicolas Cage performance, by the way. He does this film. And, other than some romantic comedies, he'd never really done like a really mournful, melancholy love story before. So this is very much cast against type here. And yeah, I'm with you. He's very still in this, and which is a weird thing to say about Nicolas Cage. He's not known for subtlety, but this is like a very dialed down, very meticulously introverted performance. I really loved him in this movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed him in this movie. I think it's really hard for me when actors are trying to be like they want. His eyes are very piercing in this film, and
they are in general.
Yeah, but it's like it feels very personal. Like,
what do you mean?
Like, it's almost like too much.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you feel like even though he was playing one of God's children, he was undressing you with his eyes?
No, but it was almost like I wanted him to be silly just because it would make me more comfortable.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And what did you think of Meg Ryan in this movie?
I like Meg Ryan. I liked her in this movie.
You didn't think she was excellent in this? I think this is one of her best performances.
Yeah, I thought she was great. Yeah.
All right. So let's
just get into it.
Let's do the scene by scene. Let's break it down for all those City of Angels fans. And by City of Angels fans, I mean, if you know all the lyrics of the Goo Goo Dolls song, then this is where you need to be.
So many songs that
soundtrack, man. It's a banger. It's like
it's a
late 90s. I mean, it really is. It's almost like one of those albums. You remember those albums? This Is What You Call Hits. What were they called?
Oh, Now
this is what I call music. That sounds like a Matthew Perry thing. Now this is what I call music. Yeah, that was. I had at least two of those stupid CD compilations, but this soundtrack is like that. I mean, it's U2 and Sarah McLachlan and Goo Goo Dolls and yeah, it's like wall to wall. And most of the soundtrack was a hit. I mean, this was like, if anybody is my age, they have the CD of this somewhere in their house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And this movie came out my last year of high school. So for sure I was listening to all of these songs on the radio and trying to record them on a tape cassette.
I think like a lot of people who, this is before Wikipedia and, before a lot of just instant facts out there. I think I not only did I have this soundtrack, I did obsessively wonder why the frick that song was called Iris.
Yes.
Why was that song? Yeah, why was it like? Especially because and look, with my breathless research that I did for this movie, I found out that they did screen an unfinished version of this film to these artists, who then, in response, wrote these songs that were used in the film. So these songs were written for this movie. Iris is about Nicolas Cage's character. Why isn't the song called Maggie?
Because of his striking eyes. Huh?
I don't know what you mean.
Like the piercing eyes we have to look at the entire time.
What about his piercing eyes? What does that have to do with the Goo Goo Dolls?
I don't know. Aren't we talking about his song?
Yes, but I'm saying the Goo Goo Dolls named the song Iris, and apparently it's something of an obscure reference. They did it as a tribute to somebody who has nothing to do with the song, but the song should be called Maggie because it's about Meg Ryan's character, Maggie.
All right, well, why don't you write them a letter?
I suspect they received a lot of letters in the 90s.
Okay. All right.
People even write letters? No, they don't. They don't write letters anymore.
Fan letters?
Fan TikToks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, send them a TikTok. All right.
There you go.
So our film opens up in Los Angeles, California, which is also known as the City of Angels. Did you know that?
Fun fact. I know that because of Dragnet.
Oh, okay. Well, I know that just because. Okay. So Seth, played by Nicolas Cage, is one of the angels who watches over humans. And his main responsibility...
Not one of the Charlie's angels, one of God's angels.
Yes.
One of God's chosen angels.
Well, there's many angels in this film, but...
The movie, and I gotta say, the movie is serious about this. Because you're right, there's nothing mawkish about this movie. It's not tongue-in-cheek. I mean, this is very, there's a heaviness to this film. It wants you to take this very seriously, that angels are among us, we cannot see them, but there are armies of them everywhere, and they're all wearing black trench coats.
Yeah, they're wearing all black, which is a weird choice, but...
They're dressed like the villains in Dark City, but they're all, really handsome people, and I didn't see any women, did you? I saw all men.
Yeah, there's some women, I think.
Were there women angels?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Seth's main responsibility is to appear to those who are close to death and I guess guide them into the afterlife. And he is also with his fellow angel, Cassiel.
Yeah, and that's a touch. The name, that's a touch right out of the original film, which we'll talk more about later. Well, Wings of Desire, the Wim Wenders film, which this is based on. And in this movie, City of Angels, Cassiel is played by Andre Braugher, wonderful character actor. I've always liked him. Yeah,
and then we meet Maggie, who is riding her bike to work. I mean, if anybody's driven through LA traffic, it's just a mess.
Bit of foreshadowing with that bike riding there, Meg Ryan.
Yeah, and you know what?
That bike ride is like an engine of death, just waiting to happen.
Can you wait? But hey, she's able to get to the county hospital on time because of her bike.
You know what? She knows that. And most days when you ride your bike, you do it with your eyes open.
All right. So she is a surgeon and she gets to work and I don't know, she's just doing a routine surgery and Seth is watching the surgery and Maggie, they're okay, we're going to close them up. You're good to go. And then she leaves and then this guy flatlines. Mm-hmm. And she comes back in and she's like, open him up, and she's basically pumping his heart for him.
Yeah.
And
we see it. It's for a PG-13 movie. There's some graphic shots of her really grabbing the dude's heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of looks like she's looking right at Seth because she's kind of I'm not going to let you go. You're not going to die, basically. And then you see the man is standing next to Seth, watching himself try to be resuscitated.
Yeah.
And he's just I guess that's it for me. And he's going to go on to the next life.
It's very Ghost. Remember how...
Yes.
Remember how, was it Sam Wheat? How Sam Wheat would suddenly have someone standing next to him be like, oh, we know what happened to that dude.
Yeah. So Seth is now really taken with Maggie, very intrigued by her.
I guess. I mean, all the women in Los Angeles at that time, I guess, be like, okay, yeah, Meg Ryan, the surgeon. And how many generations has this guy been alive?
Oh, so wow.
Oh, come on. It's like the Edward Cullen thing that drives me crazy. Like, Bella and Edward were meant he had women before this chick, okay? Remember his on the wall he had like all the high school diplomas he ever received? Like, Edward Cullen is like a tourist, you know? And I kind of wonder, you know, I know they want this to be like the love story of all time, but like, how old is this guy?
Seth?
Yes. What, a couple thousand years?
Infinity? I don't know.
Yeah, you know, but this is the one. Okay, all right, you know, there's someone for everyone out there.
Well, wait, are you saying that like?
What about Sheila at the deli? Okay. What about Barbara in Human Relations at Warner Brothers? You know, what about you know, Martha who like makes, you know, who makes tunics, or like, you know, what about out of all the people in the City of Angels?
Yeah. He never went to the set of Baywatch? I mean...
No kidding.
Wow. I did not know
like, Seth, there's a woman named Cameron Diaz, man.
Oh my gosh. All right, so Maggie is obviously really upset about this patient dying, and she's in the stairwell crying. And
we introduced, like, I think it's like it's not C plot, it's more like the D plot or E plot, where it's established that there is also a baby. There's a baby that she becomes aware of that's having a terrible time, and we don't know why. And her colleague introduces that this baby, and they're, you know, it's kind of one of these things where you don't think it's really going anywhere. It's kind of a loose subplot, but it winds up being very key. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so Maggie is, you know, she's married to her work. Okay, and she's very good at what she does.
Well, I was going to say, when she's on that stairwell, Seth comes and is like 2 inches from her face, kind of. Just
well, there's a lot of that in this movie. You know, the angels are invisible. Yeah. So that means Nicolas Cage is doing everything he can to upstage you as the actor. He's getting right into your close-up. I don't know, like, it works here for the most part, but I mean, this is one of those movies where, because the main character is invisible, there's just a lot of scenes where it feels almost like an acting improv, you know? It's like, can you see me? Can you touch me? It's no, I mean, I gotta hand to the actors, it's hard to do that. Yeah. Because, you know, the thing about having a scene partner is you're trying not to break the spell, you know? So in this case, not only do you have to invest in the emotion of the scene, you're trying not to look at, as you said, this crazy man staring at you inches from your face, and he's also giving a genuine performance. He's not trying to break you up, like, you know. So there's, you know, what I'm trying to say is it's very difficult to do these sort of scenes, and they're both doing it well. Mm-hmm.
All right, so we also find out that Maggie has severe insomnia, and she often wakes up at like 3 a.m. and just like can't go back to sleep. And she also has an on again, off again relationship with another surgeon.
Yeah, this is Colm Feore. I love this actor. I probably first recognized him really because he did a Stephen King movie called Storm of the Century. He was great in that. And he's in one of my favorite films from Canada, The Red Violin. Very underrated, character actor, but I've always thought of him as a leading man. He's great, and he's good in this. The role is more of a plot device, but he's good. Yeah.
Yeah. He's one of those relationships where he's just kind of like, all right, like what? Like, let's just like get married. Let's just like do this stuff. Like, what are you waiting for? Like,
let's face it. He's Christopher Maloney in Runaway Bride. There's no way she's going to end up with this guy at the end of the movie. But, it's like you need to have that tension, that love triangle. Like this is the man in waiting. This is the Baxter. This is the dude who's going to get ditched by the end of the film. But the movie's going to make you think this guy has a shot.
No,
and he doesn't.
I never thought he had a shot.
No. Especially because he's like, you and I get each other, and let's just like get rid of the romantic stuff, and we'll do it because you and I fit well, and we'll get married because
we're both like surgeons, and
we get each other,
understand,
and we both like mochachinos.
Like,
so
wow,
let's
romantic.
do this. Yeah.
No.
And this is a movie about this is a very romantic movie, so clearly this guy is not going to happen.
No. All right, so let's talk about where the angels hang out.
Well, the height of human, achievement is obviously the library, the public library. So Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a touch from the Wenders film as well. They hang out at libraries and they listen to people's thoughts, and they're also able to listen to stories essentially being read to them because they're hearing the thoughts that people read. I don't know. I feel like the Wenders film is a little more specific about the rules of being an angel. It's really fast and loose in this movie.
Yeah.
Especially in this case, it's like, okay, what can they touch? What can they not touch? How can they be involved? So they touch things, but they don't feel things.
They can't feel anything.
But they can hear everything. But it's also this thing where it's almost like a radio station where you can listen to one thought in particular. It's not like this, melody of thoughts. And it's okay. I mean, there's a lot to explain, obviously, with that sort of logic. And, you just kind of go with it. But I'm with you. I mean, I've been to LA. There's better places to be than the public library.
Well, I mean, it's a huge library. And there's a lot of scenes of, because there's multiple levels. And it's like when all the angels in their black trench coats, like, come to the edge of the stairwell and, like, look down, it's kind of ominous. I think it looks cool, but I'm with you. It's an odd touch. I don't know that I want the opposite, where they're all dressed in white. I definitely don't want the wings and the halo. I think it's more interesting this way because it is like they're agents, they're observers, they're workers. There was a movie called The Adjustment Bureau, which had a very similar idea. There's films that do this, the idea of either the villains or the heroes all having the same, uniform attire. But it is odd. It's definitely automated, but it's a carryover from the Wenders film. So maybe they just thought, look, it looked cool in 1987. Let's just do this. Let's just have them all dressed in black. But the thing is, like the Wenders film, though, it had more scenes of them being so beautiful and compassionate. Not to get too ahead of it, there's a sequel to Wings of Desire called Far Away So Close. One of the angels is played by Nastasia Kinski, and there's a scene where she's holding a man who's dying. It's one of the most beautiful images in cinema. It always moves me so. There's not a lot of that here. It really is just a lot of like the library, they kind of listen to someone read them, to them like the Celestine prophecy. They're just sitting there like listening and... Yeah, they're not, you don't see them really... intervening into
it's really they're just observing. They're being very observant, and you get the sense like, okay, that's what they do. And it's also established like it's that weird thing of which is a hard thing to explain. It's like there's something profound about being able to observe the beauty and the possibilities of life, but at the same time it is almost like a form of punishment being who they are because they're not able to fully interact.
When is the first time that... Oh, okay. So when does he decide to show himself?
He talks to Cassio and basically makes it clear, it's like, she saw me. She looked right at me. And Cassio's like, no, she didn't. She was doing surgery. You're an idiot. And basically tells him, it's just this whole thing of establishing like, okay, if you let her see you, what is it you're trying to achieve exactly? He doesn't exactly know. It's just that he's very taken by her. So I think it's in the hallway where she turns. I don't even know where they are.
Oh yeah,
Where are they?
Okay,
is it her apartment? Or?
No, they're at the bottom level of the hospital.
Okay,
and he's just kind of hanging out there, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he doesn't really have a good reason to be there, but I don't know. They just have like a good conversation, and then. She's like, okay, well, you probably need to leave, and
that's right. Because she tells him the visiting hours are over. And he says, he kind of questions the whole idea of visiting hours in general. And she's like, wow, well played. No one's ever questioned the logic of visiting hours. Surely you must be an ethereal being from another plane.
Yes, exactly. So then when she tells him to leave, she starts walking away. And when she turns around,
he's gone.
He's gone. Poof.
Which is the creepiest thing you can do. I mean, the black trench coat and the... Yeah,
like he couldn't just go through the door just to pretend.
The only thing that would have been better if he like disappeared in a puff of smoke. That would have been great. Where'd he go?
So at one point, though, he's in the library and someone's reading this book.
The Pelican Brief.
No. No, I don't remember which book it is.
Some 90s book.
Yeah, and
waiting to exhale.
No, he loves
Jurassic Park.
the poetry. And he takes the book to her house.
Yeah,
and puts
and leaves it there. It's so weird.
Yeah. But he
and she questions because her boyfriend comes home and
she's like, "Oh, like thanks for the book." And he's like, I didn't like do that. I didn't give you that book. So she goes to the public library because she realizes it's a library book. And the librarian is like, "No, I can't tell you who checked this out."
And then there's so many problems with this, Julia, because first of all, did he take the book and like do the beam me up thing where he just materializes at her house with this book? But then does the book go with him, or is it like this floating book across Los Angeles? And then the idea that he checked it out. So he has a library account?
No, I think he just stole it.
Can angels do that? Can they steal library books?
Well, okay. Either he just took it and didn't check it out, or he like hacked.
Promise, I'm going to return this, okay?
Or he like hacked their computer system and just like checked it out on someone else's account.
My name is Johnny Angel.
Johnny Angel. So she goes to the library and then he shows up and lets her see him and she's like, "It's you again."
It's nice to see you again.
It's weird to see you again.
Weird is nice. You like Hemingway?
Yeah, starting to.
Yeah?
Yeah.
As I ate the oysters with their strong taste of the sea and their faint metallic taste, as I drank their cold liquid from each shell and washed it down with the crisp taste of the wine, I lost the empty feeling and began to be happy. He never forgets to describe how things taste. I like that.
Do you come here a lot?
I live here.
What do you do?
Read.
No, I mean your work.
Oh, I'm a messenger.
Oh. Well, what kind of messenger? Like a bike messenger?
No, I'm a messenger of God.
Got a message for me?
I already gave it to you.
Well, did you use my pager? Because I usually don't get my messages unless you beep me.
You've definitely been beeped.
And then what? Don't they go like kind of on a date? Like they kind of go.
Is this a scene in the park?
No, where they go and get food. Like they go shopping.
Oh, where she goes and buys fruit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
She goes and buys fruit.
Yeah, and she's like smelling the food. She's like, "Oh, wow."
Yeah, and he's like, "What does it taste like?"
And she's like, "What?" He's like, I don't know what it's like for you to taste fruit, so I just want to know what you think."
Yeah, and she's like, "Ooh, that's so profound," is what she's thinking. But he says, like, he wants her to describe all this stuff because he's never felt it before. And I think she thinks he's being like this profound romantic guy.
Right. Which is a mistake a lot of women make. You know, the grooves on a tire, you know, they don't just happen that way. You know, they make the tire that way. Oh, wow.
That's the example.
Do you know with sunroofs, they actually had to put, you know, the houses don't come with the sunroofs. You know, I built those things. Really?
Your house has a sunroof?
Anyway, let's move on.
Okay, so she's so intrigued because now she's comparing Seth to, you know, her on again, off again surgeon man and realizing that he's just not.
He's refreshing. He's attentive. It's almost like Tom Hanks in Big, where it's like the fact that he's so childlike and so earnest and seemingly doesn't have an ounce of sarcasm or cynicism or hardness to him. Yeah, of course she's into somebody who is the complete polar opposite of the dude that she's with right now.
Yes. Okay, so now let's go to her next patient.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her next patient is Nathaniel Messinger.
Played by the wonderful Dennis Franz. I don't believe we have him with us anymore. I think he has passed on.
Oh, I don't know.
I think he did pass away a little bit ago. Yeah.
I mean, I could look that up if you want. But, so he's in for like some, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's still alive.
He is?
Yeah, he's 78.
Oh, maybe just because of this movie. That's how good an actor he is. I thought Dennis Franz with this. I apologize to Dennis Franz and all of Dennis Franz's fans.
Yeah, he's only 78.
Only 78. Sorry, Dennis. You're so good in this. I thought you really were an angel.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so he's, I don't know, he's like sneaking ice cream. He's supposed to be having heart surgery. And because of the death of her patient, that one who with the heart, they moved the surgery. And the wife is like, well, I need to know why you moved the surgery, which is neither here nor there. But so Seth is in the room with Nathaniel because of Maggie. But at one point, Nathaniel's like, I know you're there and I'm not going. So that's when we realize that he can sense the angels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do I want to say why?
Yeah.
Okay, because he used to be one.
He used to be an angel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he gets through his surgery and, you know, he's basically like asking Seth, like, why are you here? And then he's like, oh, you're here for her. Like, I get it. And he tells him that he used to be an angel and he basically fell. And because he wanted to have a wife and he wanted to have kids. And he said that angels also have free will, just like humans. So if they want to fall, they can. So what do you think about that?
I just think it's funny that they cast Dennis Franz in this character. That's what I think. I think he's miscast, honestly. It's in the original film, Peter Falk played this role, and it was Peter Falk playing himself as a man who used to be an angel. So it was a really wild idea, and it was funny that, you know, the star of Columbo and Princess Bride, you know, is essaying this figure who used to be, you know, one of God's literal children. And I don't know. I mean, Franz, and I love Franz, but, you know, he's famous for always playing very Chicago. You know, I used to be an angel. I used to know the infinity, and now I got a Costco card. And, you know, when I think about, you know, perfection, it's pizza, you know, and a hot dog. You know, like that's kind of the note that he's playing. He's playing a very Chicago former angel. He's kind of a distraction in the role, as opposed to somebody who I don't know. You said it yourself. It's like he's kind of an odd choice for this role, and I like the idea that they went with offbeat casting, or certainly unexpected casting, but it doesn't quite work for me.
Well, my theory is that, you know, he maybe looked different when he was an angel, but then when he became a human,
I was in my prime.
Yeah, he was in his prime right after he fell or whatever. And then, you know, a lifetime of pizza and ice cream and just like living it up and just doing what, you know, all that stuff. It takes a toll on the body, you know. He wasn't prepared for that. Yeah. So, all right. So now we have a series of scenes where it's like Seth keeps showing up where Maggie is. Like she's in the park with her dog and she's like, I keep running into you. You know, this is so strange. Like, and then she's like, why don't you ever like give me your number? She's like, are you homeless? What did she say? Are you
all valid questions.
Yeah.
Are you homeless?
Like,
are you a drummer?
Yeah, are you a drummer? She said, just like, why don't you ever change your clothes?
Yeah, again, completely. She's asking these questions way too late, but these are all good questions.
Yeah. And so then I don't know, I can't remember exactly what he said, but somehow they end up kissing. And
whatever he says, it works.
Yeah.
I'll wait all day just hoping for one more minute with you, and I don't even know you.
What do you want to know?
Why do you wear the same clothes all the time? Why won't you give me your phone number? Are you married?
No.
Are you homeless?
No.
Are you a drummer? Why don't you ever touch me?
I don't want to hurt you.
You won't hurt me. Did you feel that?
And she was kind of like, did you feel that? And I didn't quite get it right as I was watching the movie. I was like, I don't understand what's happening. But I realized he didn't feel it.
Oh, that's what that was about. Because I told you, is this like the moment in Back to the Future where Lorraine kisses Marty? And she's like, it was like kissing my brother.
Yeah. Well, maybe for Maggie it was like that because he obviously has never kissed a woman before and can't feel her lips at all. So I think
That's true, because of the thousands of eons he's been alive, of course he has no idea how to kiss. Of course. He's never seen that before.
Well, but he
Never tried it on a heavenly pillow himself. Come on. So ridiculous.
Sleep pillow.
Come on.
No, but he can't feel her touch.
So?
Okay, so if you can't, it's like touching air.
Like he's never practiced like just smooching to the air before? Come on.
How are you supposed to kiss something you can't feel?
That sounds like my high school years.
Okay, well, obviously she's just kind of like, oh, that wasn't great.
Right.
You know? So we have some scenes where he keeps showing up like at her house.
Well, the one that almost tips the movie over in a bad way for me is the one that sets as Sarah McLachlan and
Arms of the Angel.
Oh man, talk about songs that are on the nose. This is like an 80s film where it's like the songs are telling you what's going on. Man, it's heavy in this one. But yeah, that scene, because it's like raining and storming at night.
Oh, and she can't. She's like, are you here? You know, and then it's like she's, you know, takes off her robe and she's in like a tank top and, you know, like the lightning is like glowing on her.
Of
and
course.
Then, you know, of course. And then she lays down and in her bed and she's like, just like stay with me. And so then he like
So Seth's like, okay, big spoon, little spoon, got it. Okay, gonna wrap my arms around you. Okay, arms of an angel. Here we go. Okay,
I can't feel you, but I'm
I
holding
think this
you.
is spooning. I've seen this, but I've never done this before. I don't know what it feels like, but it feels good. So ridiculous. You know, on Earth, you know what we're obsessed with? Sex. If this guy has seen anything, it's sex. It's ridiculous that he's, I don't know what to do here. What do people do?
He didn't.
You kiss?
No, he's not. She can't see him right now.
I'm going to hold you. Where do I put my hands? Oh, so confusing. I should have paid attention. All those eons, and I never really watched.
Should have gone to some biology classes.
Some books in the library I should have read before I did this.
Yeah, but then the amazing thing, the miraculous thing is that she sleeps in that next morning. That's like...
Because she's been ghost groped by Nicolas Cage. Good job, Seth.
Ghost groped.
Ghost groped. Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I call it, the ghost grope. Works every time.
Oh my gosh. I am... Oh, wow. I'm going to try to get
Can I say really quickly, look, I want to spend a little more time talking about Wings of Desire, but really quickly, that movie is not a silly, sappy, melodramatic love story. And this one, to a degree, is. Again, the film, it's not Michael with John Travolta, or it's not any of those really bad movies like The Heavenly Kid that came out in the 80s. Like it takes all of this seriously. it is really a movie that wants you to really question this idea of, are we alone? And if we're not alone, what does it look like? What does it feel like? And, if there is a presence out there, exactly how present are they in our lives? And, and how much do they interact with us? I mean, the movie really wants to explore those questions, those theological and supernatural questions. But at the same time, it does lean into a genre. Wings of Desire didn't. Wings of Desire was so philosophical, poetic. It really was just about look at the existence of these angels alongside these humans, about how there is a sense of longing. And the love story that comes out of that film is very beautiful and surprising. In that movie, the angel is an angel, and the woman he falls in love with is a trapeze artist. And it's not till the end of the film where they actually interact. And the dialogue between them is so beautiful. And the whole movie is so gorgeous. But the film, I wouldn't call Wings of Desire a love story. I would definitely call this movie a love story. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think it works because, again, I'm really digging Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan in this movie. But at other times, it does, again, I don't think this movie... I wouldn't call it corny, but when Sarah McLachlan is blaring and the ghost groping is happening, I'm just this movie needs a lot less of this because the headier stuff is very good. The film is so much stronger than you expect, especially considering what it's based on, which is one of the greatest films of the 80s. And this is not a film to be ashamed of. Everybody involved is doing great work, but yeah, these parts of the movie, especially when he's watching her when she's alone in a room, this is right out of Twilight. This is Stalkerville. This isn't romantic. This is Creepers.
Yeah. Well, and I did skip over a couple of scenes because Seth is trying to figure out what's he gonna do here. Is he gonna keep letting her see him and then have this longing for her? Is he gonna become human? Is he just gonna leave forever and not bug her? So
I'm gonna bring her more books every day. It's gonna be a different book every day.
Oh my gosh.
Chicken soup for the soul. What? Did you bring this?
I know you have trouble sleeping, so
Julia Child's cookbook. Do you want me to make you something?
So they both go to Nathaniel's birthday party,
Yeah.
And she still doesn't quite know what Seth is yet. And there's something happens where someone takes a Polaroid of him and this little girl.
Right.
And in the Polaroid, he's just this blinding light.
Yeah.
And the little girl is right there. So she's
which, by the way, I think is what happens when you try to photograph Nicolas Cage in general.
Yeah.
His
star is just it's brighter than anything. And then he does come over to her house, I guess for dinner. I don't really know. But she's like, hey, chop this lettuce.
Oh yeah, I like this moment. Yeah.
And he the knife kind of goes through his thumb because he's never chopped lettuce before. And she's like, oh my gosh. And then
it's funny because it's a cool moment because I think the idea is that he does it and he thinks I hope she didn't see that.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's standing there going,
the blade went right through my thumb.
What just happened?
And then she says, I'm going to cut you. And she does.
Yeah. And then he obviously, there's no blood or anything. And so then she's just
what a weird date.
Yeah. Who are you? What's going on? So then she's like, I never want to see you again. Okay. But then later on, we do have the ghost groping. But she goes to see Nathaniel to check his heart or whatever. It's I don't know. Does she make house calls with everybody?
It's weird. It feels forced because weirdly enough, because it is a very whimsical and very eccentric idea, but having Peter Falk do this duty in the original film just felt more organic to the story. And in this case, it is why is she going back to this guy?
Yeah.
Other than just to, get some more exposition out of Dennis Franz.
There's no logical reason to have this doctor make a house call.
Right.
There really isn't. Because he he's like, I'm okay. I'm fine. It's what, is she extra worried about him? We don't know. But they start talking about Seth, and she's like, well, how do you know what he is? And he basically tells her, like, I used to be an angel and now I'm a human. And
so you used to wear heavenly robes. Now I wear aloha shirts and these stretchy pants. Want some pizza?
Yes. Basically.
I think I got a Snickers bar right here if you want it.
And she's like, your heart. You're a human now. No. So, then there's some nonsense with her and the third wheel.
Right.
It's like he wants to get married and,
Yeah. Well, the scene where he proposes to her, that's where we find her. That's where after the baby, right?
Oh, yeah.
Let me say that really quick because, it really, I don't know. I really like this. The screenplay by Dana Stevens, for me, it's a lot of hot and cold decisions. For me, it's very hit and miss. But I do like this decision that the baby was in there because she basically comes up with, like, I understand what's wrong with the baby. She figures it out. And the moment after she does that, we find her alone in the dressing room, the doctor's dressing room, and she's surrounded by this golden light. I don't know that Meg Ryan has ever looked more beautiful in a film. Mm-hmm. It really astounded me. There's a moment in Sleepless in Seattle, I think, where she's stalking Tom Hanks and watching the kids from across the street while they're playing soccer. That's another moment where I'm just like, she's really crazy beautiful. Mm-hmm. And often, as we've been talking about, like, usually she has this crazy curly hair and she's dressed like a hobo. You never guess that this is such a gorgeous woman.
Yeah, we're talking about how she does dress like, a 75-year-old man whose clothes don't fit.
It's crazy, and she's got this hair that is just so crazy and untamed. And she's a gorgeous woman. But in so many of her, I mean, I swear, like from when Harry Met Sally on, excuse me, she was always like, it's like, well, Diane Keaton dressed this way, so I'm going to be dressed in this way too. And it's...
So she does discover why this baby keeps crying. The baby basically can't breathe and therefore can't sleep. And so there's a surgery and she kind of is like, oh, finally, like, I think she feels like this, I've done something good, because the death of that one patient is still kind of hanging over her, you know? And so to be able to save Nathaniel and to be able to save this baby, it's like, oh, okay, finally, I got some wins here. And then, her quasi boyfriend comes in and wants to just like...
Yeah, he basically pops the question in like the least romantic way possible.
Yeah. Like, let's just go to Lake Tahoe and we'll just get married. Like, okay, why? We aren't compatible at all, So she's still thinking about Seth, but she basically told Seth to get lost because he's not human. And now we have Seth deciding if he's going to become human. So that's where we're at.
Yeah.
So this is the third act?
Yes, the third act of the film where he does the thing that you do when you want to say goodbye to a life of eternity of being one of God's angels. He jumps off a building. And this scene, man, John Seale shot this movie. This is the same guy who shot Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh,
He's
wow.
one of our great cinematographers. He's one of the greatest living cinematographers ever. And the cinematography in this scene is off the charts, amazing. This is a mainstream American movie. This is the remake of Wings of Desire, the U.S. version. And Seale is treating it like it is a prestigious film. This is such a splendid looking movie. And this scene in particular, where Cage does a swan dive off a building, and the way I know there's some CGI involved, obviously, but the way his body is following and the way they have his his cape flapping, and it's like his
trench coat.
Excuse me. Well, trench coat. Yeah. And basically his life as an angel is kind of flashing before his eyes, and the things that he's seen, and it's kind of the end of his existence as such. He lands, and the first thing we see is his eye opening up. It's so incredible. Like, it's a fantastic shot. There's so many scenes in this movie. The imagery just really stays with me. But yeah. So this is the bit where Nicolas Cage as Seth awakens as a human, and this is the only part of the movie where you get a little bit of Nicolas Cage, like okay, I'm going to take it up a notch. Like you see it in this sequence.
Now that
this
he's human.
This is the only part of the film you see. Yeah, because he has to, and he has to convey some really big notes. Like he's feeling pain for the first time.
Yeah,
he has blood on his hands for the first time. He's dancing on the street. Like, he's basically being ridiculous like we all are. So those are the few moments in the movie where Cage, you see a little bit of that wildness in him. But beyond that, it's a very focused performance. I got to hand it to him and the director for keeping him reined in, because it's very effective here.
So he's kind of like, I got to get to the hospital. Where's the hospital? How do I even get places now? Mm-hmm. So he runs and then he gets there and he runs into one of Maggie's friends and she's like, Maggie's not here. She went to Lake Tahoe to get married.
It's like, got it, bye. And he runs off on foot. And
he gets mugged.
He gets mugged because it is LA.
And then he hitches a ride with a trucker. And
yeah, the cinema is the nicest trucker ever in a movie. This guy gives him I'll give you a ride to Reno, picks him up.
Yeah. And then he just appears on Maggie's doorstep.
Well, the thing that I find so hilarious is like he doesn't know where to go. He's in Reno. He has no idea. Maggie, no idea. And then he sees a payphone with a phone book flapping, and we're supposed to deduce that like, oh, there's her number. No, she went there to be with the guy.
No, like he found her address in the phone book.
She doesn't have a house in Lake Tahoe. It's his place.
It's her uncle's.
It's her uncle's?
Yeah.
Does he know her uncle? Like the uncle's name?
Well,
we don't even know her last name. Does she have a last name? It's Maggie.
That's true.
Okay, I'm going to look at this phone book. Dr. Maggie, here it is. Here's her address. Okay.
Yeah.
Operator, can I have her address? Okay, it's Dr. Maggie. Dr. period. Last name Maggie. It's ridiculous. But yeah, he shows up at her doorstep.
Major plot holes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he shows up at her.
Does anyone have a computer? Can anybody ask Jeeves for me, please?
So she kind of nurses Seth back to health.
Because he has like pneumonia.
Well, he's been beat up and he fell off a building.
That's right. He has been mugged. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he basically. It's basically like a suicide attempt, essentially, and then a mugging.
Right.
And so,
yeah.
And then, obviously, she did a great job because then they just decide to just, like, get it on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's a pretty tame sex scene for...
Oh, yeah. No, it's...
1998.
Yeah. Ridiculous. I mean, well, this is the same season as Wild Thing. So yeah, this is a pretty tame sex scene. And again, it's like, okay, I don't know where to put my hands. So how am I doing?
Well, okay, the part where she's like, what does it feel like? It's like, we're doing this still. He's like, it's warm. It's a little like, okay, can you just...
It's like I'm a car in a car wash. Does that do anything for you? It's like I'm a kite and I'm spinning in the sky. No? Tell me when I'm getting there. It's like a dog and a hose. No? Nothing?
It's like she wants him to just like keep telling her how things feel.
By the way, I have a question.
Yeah.
I thought about this because 1998, you know what else came out this year?
What?
Meet Joe Black.
Oh.
So, question. Answer me honestly, please. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering, is this a fantasy that women have about taking away the virginity of a perfect being?
I don't know. I've never had that fantasy. But I'm sure, because
come on, because look, I know Nicolas Cage and Brad Pitt. Same idea, though.
Same idea.
Gorgeous, beautiful, pure, innocent. Even though he was deaf, but still,
that's true. I would say the sex scene in Meet Joe Black where he loses his virginity.
It's more erotic.
Well, but there was something about it where it's like just their faces,
right?
You know?
Yeah, and especially because
and there was no talking, no like, tell me how this feels, like they just kind of let it.
It's like chocolate. If I knew what that tasted like, and I don't. I've looked at those. I've walked past that Nabisco truck, and I never knew what it tasted like. Yeah, no, because I mean, let's face it. I mean, I don't know. I maybe there's more examples I'm just not thinking of, but I immediately I'm like, this is the same year.
You're
it's
right.
the same idea.
Yeah,
and I agree with you. The Meet Joe Black scene, I agree, because not to make too much of a thing of this, but like men having an orgasm is not something you typically see in movies ever. It's always women. It's always been a thing. So I mean, that is a standout scene. You're right. Meet Joe Black because of that, because it's about Brad Pitt's experience as opposed to hers. And in this scene, it's like it's because it's so much talky talk.
It's too much talky talk. I felt like it's like you can convey these things without like. Give me a dissertation on your thoughts right now.
One of my, I mean, I don't know if it's to say one of my favorites, but like, in Top Gun, when they're silhouetted, you know what they're not doing? Talking.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Do you get the need for speed?
No, but there was another movie we watched where it was just faces.
The Player.
Yeah, and we just
Robert Altman's The Player, which is very erotic because of what you don't see. You feel the heat of the scene.
Just their faces.
And what they talk about is actually important to the plot. As opposed to this, where it's like, less would have been more here.
Yeah, less would have been more here. Yeah. But, whatever.
The movie has to earn its PG-13 rating, though, because otherwise we're talking about a PG film. Other than the hospital gore
you're right.
and the luscious looks that Nicolas Cage gives. Yes. Other than that, total PG movie.
Okay, so the next day, it's like they're sitting on the dock, and you kind of, like we're getting this feeling that they're really going to start a life together. And there is one joke where she's like,
so how was it last night? What did it feel like for you?
She's like, it was okay.
Bummer. I really wish I'd read more books in that library.
She's like, you'll get better. I mean, it was your first time, so, maybe we should not talk about that.
Maybe I should have read more of those Daniel Steele novels.
But she says, like, I can't wait to start our life as Mr. and Mrs. Plate, because that's like...
That's right, that's the fake name
That's the fake name he came up with the night that he wasn't bleeding when she cut him.
Yep.
And she's like, I don't even know your last name. And he looks down at a plate. He's like, Plate. So it is a funny, like, that's like one funny joke, because this movie's not funny.
No, it doesn't have a sense of humor at all. No. And I like it. It really, again, it's trying to take this as seriously as it can. But at this point, it's become such a sudsy love story that I think it's kind of not self-defeating, but I feel like it's kind of undermining the strength of some of the earlier stuff.
Yeah.
There's some scenes in this that are really powerful, and I'm very, very emotional. And there's a few of those coming up too. But so everything that happens on this day in this part of the story is just so irritating to me. So let's talk about it.
Okay, so Seth goes and takes a shower because he's never like had a shower before.
Again, so dumb. I don't buy it. Hey Maggie, if I turn it left, is it hot or is it cold? Hey Maggie, what's a loofah? What's it do?
And he's like, he's smelling like all of her little.
Oh, it smells good. Hey, Maggie, do I use conditioner first or last?
Okay, but he doesn't ask her any questions. He just.
Yeah, this is when he's not asking any. He should be asking more questions here.
He's just like smelling all of her.
Yeah, and he burns himself. He doesn't turn the shower on. Again, like this guy never watched anyone take a shower in his eons of existence. So ridiculous.
That's true.
I never washed. I'm one of the angels, so I always look the other way.
I just turn around.
Okay, I do a little peeky poo every once in a while, but I was just like once or twice. And it was Cleopatra, so, I mean, can you blame me? I mean, come on. Have you seen Cleopatra? I mean, oh my God.
Okay, so Meg Ryan is downstairs, like, making, like, a fruit salad or something, and all of a sudden she's like, I need to ride my bike to town, which is like 10 miles away, and like buy pears.
Does she even? She doesn't even know, does she?
No.
She ditches.
Yeah, she just goes.
Yeah.
And then we see her at the store. She's buying pears, and then she gets back on her bike, and she's on like, okay.
Do you think he's confused because like, oh God.
No, I think he's been in the shower for 30 minutes.
Well, he gets out of the shower, then he's like, a t-shirt.
No, he's checking out his muscles.
Fruit of the Loom.
He's like checking out himself.
Where's my black coat? I only wear black coats. What's this? Spandex. What's that? Yes, he's checking out his muscles. Yeah, no, it's a, and I told you, like, this was supposed to be the year we got Nicolas Cage playing Superman from Tim Burton. That was supposed to be 98. So I have a theory that there's a lot of leftover, because he was going to do it. That movie was going to happen. So I feel like we're seeing a bit of that in this performance, because there is compassion, there's a sweetness, there's an earnestness to this character. I feel like this is probably what he would have played Clark Kent or Kal-El like. I really feel like we're getting a sense of that. Because, you know, I mean, he did the costume fittings for that movie. Like, that film was happening, and of course, famously, Warner Brothers shut it down. They made this movie, but they didn't make Superman. But yeah, like I do feel like we're seeing a bit of that performance here. Even the sense of Superman, you know, being an alien and you know, being someone who is both human but also something of a godlike being. Anyway, all that to say, like, I do love these scenes with him, because it's like, not only is he playing, you know, he's playing the total innocence of this character. There's something very childlike about Seth, but also it's like, yeah, this is probably exactly what it would have been. He even makes Superman poses too, like in this scene.
Yes. So then we have Meg Ryan riding her bike back home on these like mountain roads, which I'm sure she's done many times before. And this is the one scene I remember from like when I saw this movie back when it came out, and just irritates me still. I was like, this is just so annoying. She's on her bike and she just like puts her arms out like she's flying, puts her head back and closes her eyes. Why?
You know, she's good at surgery, but she sucks at bike riding.
Well, no, I mean, has good balance, but like, you're going to close your eyes for 30 seconds to like a minute on a mountain road where you're like, there's a cliff right next to you. You know,
and John Seal shoots it as there's a shot of her. It's from afar, so you're really getting a look at the topography, and she's, you know,
she's
biking
going fast.
Very fast through the woods. It's beautiful. It's, you know, they clearly shot this in Lake Tahoe. It's gorgeous. And, you know, the shot where she closes her eyes and sticks out her hands on the bike, I mean, it's at such a close angle. You get the sense, okay, she's clearly on a rig being pulled by like a tow truck. There's no way Meg Ryan really did this. No. There's no way. But yeah, it drives me crazy that she does this, and that despite the fact that the scene takes place in slow motion, she is unable to use, you know, a brake.
Yeah. I mean, come on. So then you see like this logging truck kind of pull out onto the highway. And what? She opens her eyes.
I guess she smacks right into it.
She doesn't hear a diesel engine. I mean, come on.
So many problems with this.
So many problems.
Yeah, so.
And then she just like, the crazy part is like, you see that there's like a mangled bike at some point, and we don't see the accident or whatever, but the driver like put her backpack like under her head and just like covers her. So I'm like, what are her injuries? I mean, she's still a little bit conscious. Like, what?
She's very conscious, because Seth shows up to the scene of the accident.
Oh no, but before that, Seth's at the cabin, and all of a sudden he's like sitting down to have breakfast.
It's a candle. Remember, there's a candle.
Oh, the candle goes out. Yes.
Yeah, and he looks around like, huh?
And so he starts running through the woods and like ends up on the road, like right where she is. And it's just like, Maggie, no.
And, you know, the thing is, the actors are really giving it here. The dialogue here is good. The moment is good. They're playing it well. Like, seriously, like, it's a very affecting moment. Unless you think about it, because why is she conscious? What is the nature of the injury? Why is she able to communicate with him for so long and then just die? It's a movie.
Yeah.
It's very much a movie industry because why aren't her legs like twisted over back her head?
Why don't we see blood? Why don't we see
why
her...
is she conscious?
Yeah.
Like there's so many. It's very much a movie device. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
She's like, I wanted to show you everything.
Yeah, which is great, but again, like, I don't know. Look, spoiler, she doesn't die in Wings of Desire. I don't know why she has to die in the American movie.
I know.
It drives me crazy. I don't know, if they're like, we got to take a cue from Titanic, if it's more romantic and more meaningful that you kill the person that our protagonist and so is in love with.
Okay.
Romeo and Juliet.
Seth has been a human for like, what, 24 hours?
If that.
And then she dies.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. They should have played like Alanis Morissette's Ironic, not Uninvited.
Oh man. Different movie. Yeah, so now we get Seth being really bummed out.
Really bummed out.
Kind of a shame. The person he gave up eternity for, eternal life and all that. Yeah, he's giving it up.
Yeah.
And she's gone.
And then we see Seth in like, I don't know, some apartment. Like, whose apartment is this? Is this her apartment? Where is he living now? He doesn't have any ID. He has no job, no money.
I make a living as a blackmailer because I know all these people's secrets from the library. I listen to their secrets and I blackmail them. So,
do you think he remembers all that stuff?
Oh yeah, generations of secrets. Okay, I call people up. I'm like, hey, I used to listen to your grandma and your mom, and now you, and I've got all your secrets. So you have to pay my rent. Okay, all right, bye. That
would be a creepy movie idea. Angel blackmailer. Yeah. So then he goes back and talks to Nathaniel. I mean, not really talk, but I think like Nathaniel just realizes how horrible.
Yeah, too bad, Yeah, shame. Hey, you want some pizza here? Seriously, I got a Snickers bar right here. It's in my coat. You want it?
Your heart's still working, so here.
Hey, welcome to mortality, pal.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't talk about this, but at the end, he goes to sunrise or sunset on the beach, and that's where all the angels gather.
Talking about the final scene?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we there yet?
I guess. Might as well just go right to it.
Is there anything I'm missing?
No, there's some more sad sack bits, but okay. No, I mean, this is, I mean, he basically, there's that moment where Cassio reappears.
That's
and
right.
He's angry at Cassio. He's like, were you there?
Were you there?
Yeah.
Did you take her, basically? And he's
which
like,
is cool. No,
no,
it's a valid question. And by the way, Cassio could be lying to him, which is interesting. Because I don't know how that works exactly, but that's also a possibility. And we get to this final scene, which I love very much. I really love this last scene because it's established that the angels, in their, they all look like Depeche Mode in their black jackets, and they all stand on the beach together. They watch the sun come up, and of course, Seth is aware of it, and he goes to the beach. He basically strips down and runs into the water, and he's swimming, and it's this moment of human ecstasy for him. He's finally, experiencing the kind of the peak of what it's like to be alive, despite the fact that he lost the love of his life. And I like that the film ends this way and that it ends here. And of course, it ends with this really lovely tribute to Dawn Steele, the producer of the film, who's no longer with us, who was a groundbreaking, revolutionary producer. She was one of the first female studio heads. And this movie was one of her pet projects. She, followed it and produced it, of course. And then I believe she died the year it came out. But I love that final shot of Cage, where it's overhead, and it's this moment of ecstasy and joy for him.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and Cassiol is there, and he's like smiling, sort of laughing. Which the angels are very stoic, so
they're like Vulcans. They don't they don't really feel emotion,
which is kind of odd. But
it's this idea. I think both of these films, I think Wings of Desire and City of Angels, I mean, it's talking about just how the joy of life, even the mundane things, even, whether you're stuck in traffic or going to the library, it's like even the things in life that we don't think are that great. Or even like a couple of days ago, our daughter, Beatrice, she was like, Daddy, look, the sunrise. And I was sitting on the couch and I went to the kitchen with her and looked out the window and we were watching the sun come up. It's like, this is, on the one hand, this is, in the full spectrum of things, probably a minor moment that may be forgotten, but it's like, I get to watch the sunrise with my daughter. It's like, I think the movie is about that, kind of realizing how important every moment is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and talk about the director, because I think he's the reason that this script was turned so tragic because of his own life.
Brad Silberling. Yeah, Brad Silberling. It's a sad story. Silberling dated Rebecca Schaeffer, who is an up-and-coming actress. She even had an audition for the role of Mary Corleone in Godfather Part 3. She was on a sitcom called My Sister Sam. She has a few credits. And she was dating Brad Silberling. And tragically and horrifically, she was murdered by a stalker. And it was interesting because Silberling, he's had a very accomplished career and he's definitely had some big hits. I mean, the first movie he ever directed was Casper, which is about a boy mourning the loss, actually a husband mourning the loss of his wife. It's also about a dead child. You get this movie, which is about, dealing with loss and grief. And then right after this, I believe, in 2002, he directed a movie called Moonlight Mile, which was based on, in large part, based on his experience of losing Rebecca Schaeffer and the experience of what he went through, being in contact with her parents and also falling in love with someone else for the first time. So I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'd call those films a trilogy necessarily, but they are three movies that are in a very, very different way, using fantasy and also hard reality, dealing with death and grief and how when someone dies, it leaves such a loss, such a space that they used to inhabit. So yeah, I think that aspect of the film is very meaningful. And I think if you're going to make an American remake of Wings of Desire, you lean into that, which you do. And this film, I think, does very well. I really wanted to resist this film, honestly. I wanted to watch it because it's an older film. Nicolas Cage has this big movie coming out in a few weeks where he plays Dracula. I don't know if you've seen the trailer for that, called Renfield. And I just really, I thought, like, what was he doing 25 years ago? And this is the movie. And I thought, I really want to revisit it. Hadn't seen it in a while. I really thought I'd be kind of snickering, but oddly enough, even when the first time I saw this movie, I found it very, very affecting, and for two big reasons. Not just because I like the leads. The music by Gabriel Yared is incredible. It's so gorgeous. I was in a high school production that you saw of Romeo and Juliet that was very radical. It was gory. It was weird. They used a lot of soundtrack cuts from City of Angels in that production. There's the scene where Seth is plummeting to earth. That whole sequence, I remember they used it during Romeo's death scene. And and the cinematography by John Seal is just off the charts. It is incredible for, what could have been. It's such a commercial movie, and he makes it like it's this really great art film. It's nowhere near the poetic experience of the original film. The original film, it's like a Terrence Malick film. There's really nothing quite like it. It is slow, and it is challenging at times, but it's so engrossing, and it's so worth seeing. It's one of the greatest movies ever made, Wings of Desire. And Wenders made a sequel to it called Far Away So Close that I like just as much. But you know what? I think if you watch these three films together, they do feel like a trilogy because all three of them are very sincere, and I love that. I love that they are sincere films. I think that City of Angels is probably the weakest just because it does make those commercial choices, and it is an unabashed love story, and at times it doesn't quite work. But man, this film really moved me, and I was not expecting that.
Yeah. Me too, because again, all I could remember was Meg Ryan bike riding with her eyes closed and being like, "Why are you being such an idiot right now?"
Eyes closed, hand off the handlebars, head back,
no helmet.
Yeah, using the force to ride a bike. Yeah, in spite of that, and I hate that too. In spite of that, 3 stars for me. Yeah. And seriously, like, Cage is a fantastic actor. People always argue me. Look, I know I've seen his worst movies, and there's a few of those that people like. What are his worst movies? There's like three or four of them. Like, those are definitely the bottom of the bottom. But the thing is, if you know his body of work, like he takes risks all the time. He works with interesting people all the time. He does not give the same performance every time. He could play it very reined in. He could be very controlled. And even though the nature of this role is goofy, he's really giving it. And so is Meg Ryan. I think they're both excellent in this film. They could, I don't know. It's a weird pairing, but I found them both to be very good.
Yeah. 2.5 for me.
2.5. Why 2.5?
I think maybe for some of the reasons we've already discussed, that a few plot holes, and it does take itself very seriously. And there are some things about it that are like, okay, well, it's like trying to be more meaningful than it actually is. But I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more now than I did when I was, 18.
So better, City of Angels or the soundtrack to City of Angels? And I'd give up forever to touch you. Yeah. No, you could feel me somehow.
Okay. No, I think I'd rather watch the movie than listen to the soundtrack. I can't do Sarah McLachlan anymore.
Why not? Did those dog commercials bum you out too much?
It's just too sappy.
And interestingly enough, U2, they've collaborated with Wim Wenders quite a bit. And U2 is on the soundtrack for this film. If God Would Send His Angels is one of my favorite U2
But
tunes.
I think I did have the Goo Goo Dolls CD. Like, I think I did.
You had the single.
No, I think I had like their album.
Oh, the one with Slide and
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right.
So yeah, I mean, I would listen to that again, but I don't know about this soundtrack. Well,
You don't like Uninvited by Alanis Morissette? That's a haunting song.
I do, but Sarah McLachlan brings it down like a few notches.
Well, it's silly how it's used in the film. It's even silly the way the Goo Goo Dolls are used, because that's when he's getting a ride from the truck driver and he's got like a little doggy in his lap. And
he's like taking a nap.
Nicolas Cage, he's like, or he's looking like pensively off in the distance, and I'd give up forever. It's really, it's very earnest.
Yeah, very earnest.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too at times. Yeah, but I still enjoyed it. Yeah.
What do you think would have been more implausible, if Seth knew how to drive a car, or if he knew how to fly a plane? Because don't you think he'd experience witnessing all of those things? Couldn't he sit on a plane? Couldn't he sit in a car
and just drive it? Just like know how?
Well, you think he'd know how after eons of watching it?
He couldn't feel anything. Okay, think about it. When you're a kid, you watch your parents drive a car. You sit in a car for 16 years of your life, right? Finally, you get behind the wheel and it's like, it's like you're terrible.
Well, if it's stick, but I mean, what if it's
like a regular car, like just an automatic?
I mean, not if it's like a Gone in 60 Seconds Testarossa. I mean, like just like a Ford Escort.
No, like everyone is terrible when they don't know how much pressure to put on the gas or the brake, and it's like,
you don't think maybe he went to like Autopia at like Disney World? He's like, okay, I think I got this. Okay.
No, he can't feel anything as an angel. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but he knows how to do stuff. He knows people. He knows how to walk through a door, or materialize through a door.
Yeah, materialize again. Can't feel anything except he can pick up a book. So, make sense of that.
And he could telepathically deliver a book to her house. Yeah, whatever. All right, movie.
Yeah. So. Yeah. All right. Well, any last minute thoughts or changes to the ending?
I wish I learned how to use a loofah.
I have an ending.
Oh, okay. What's your alternate ending to City of Angels?
I would not have had her die.
No. I think they should have a kid, and it should be the question of, is the kid going to be an angel or not? And I think that should really bother her. Is this kid going to have telepathy? Will this kid feel anything?
Well, look at like Nathaniel's kids. I think that's already answered.
Well, they like pizza, they like Nintendo, and they watch the Powerpuff Girls, and they're good kids.
No, I honestly think it should be like after that moment where they're on the dock, it's like we kind of get a montage with another sappy song of like them getting married and her being pregnant, and then at the end it's a family scene on the beach, and all the other angels can be there if they want, but it's him like in the waves with his child. And that's
How many angels do you think there were there watching him?
Body surf?
No.
Oh.
With his night with Meg Ryan. How many like, guys, check it out. Seriously, come down here. You got to see this.
It's just like, their room is just like packed. He's losing his virginity. Come on.
Standing room only, guys.
Guys, you're going to have to leave now. I don't want to feel all of you in here. Yeah, awkward. But yeah, I would have that ending be like,
Why do I feel like there's like
oh my gosh,
40 angels watching us right now? I don't know if I could do this.
Yeah. That might kill his mood a little bit.
I feel like I'm being judged right now.
So that would be my ending.
Okay.
Where him in the waves with like his son or daughter, and then
Okay, yeah, you know what? I
and
like
then
that.
she's on the beach like, oh, this is like what I always wanted to, like having a family, you know. And then he's, you know, in the waves with a kid, which is also what he had always wanted.
Because in the Wim Wenders film, he goes down to Earth, he becomes a human, and he basically, it's this beautiful scene between the two of them. And it's Bruno Ganz and it's the wonderful, the late Solveig de Martin. In the sequel, it's Cassio who comes down. In the sequel, Cassio, I think
Becomes human?
becomes human.
Oh.
So it's about how the other angel comes down to Earth and has a very different experience. His experience is he becomes involved in crime, and it doesn't go well for him. And that's the sequel that has Mikhail Gorbachev and Willem Dafoe in it. Yeah,
Wow.
it's a great film. Far Away So Close is what it's called. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so see the trilogy, folks. See Wings of Desire, which is an incredible film, a masterpiece. See Far Away So Close, which is maybe not as sublime, but it's an excellent film. And then see City of Angels, which is its own thing, and I think a very good counterpoint,
Yeah.
like a companion piece, if you will. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So that's all of my thoughts. I don't know. Do you have anything else?
And I don't want
Okay.
the world
Stop
to
singing
see
that
me.
song. I am sorry to our new listeners.
Seriously, what's a loofah?
All right. Well, that concludes our discussion.
Good night, everyone.
City of Angels.
Bye. Good night.